Hello, my name is Amanda Hendricks, and I am the lead procurement account executive in the Department of General Services Office of State Procurement. I'm going to be walking you through the Email and Marketplace Advantage, known as EMA, Quick Reference Guide or QRG for business requests in EMA. All of the QRGs for the EMA system can be found at the procurement.maryland.gov/EMA-QRGs website. This QRG has been created to discuss a new feature and process that has been deployed with the new EMA 1.1 release. Now, business owners can initiate sourcing projects through business requests in EMA. This process is for master contracts and secondary competition only. A business owner is the person that is responsible for the origination of the solicitation project. So in most circumstances, this is going to be the procurement officer themselves. A business request is the process for initiating a sourcing project. The information needed to start a business request, as you will see, includes the type and category of good or service for the request, the intended organizations that will be utilizing the solicitation, and the funds certification document. This new process will allow a solicitation to be traced back to the original business need, as well as the original fund certification within EMA. This is important as it can be used to establish master agreements and drive secondary competition procurements for individual requests for proposals and invitation for bids. Also, once a business request is handed off to a procurement officer, the business owner can continue to participate in the process as a team member in EMA under the title Subject Matter Expert. The intended audience for this QRG are the business owners, those that would like to initiate a sourcing project within EMA. Through this training, I will show you how to create a business request, as well as browse and filter through those business requests in EMA. So step 1 of the QRG on how to create a business request in EMA instructs you to log into EMA and type in your username and password. You are more than likely going to be able to use your single sign-on capabilities in the live EMA production. However, I'm using a training environment for this video, so single sign-on is not an option. And reminder that for the best results, you should access EMA via Google Chrome. So I'm going to go ahead and type my information in here and log in. And again, this is a training environment, so this up here will not be there for you when you're in the live production of EMA. So step 2 of the QRG shows you how to locate the Create Business Request option. So once you're logged in from the home screen, you're going to go to the top of the screen and scroll over Sourcing and select Create Business Request. Step 3 of the QRG involves populating the initial information into your business request. Once you've selected Create Business Request, a screen with a form to be filled out will open, which is seen right here. Any area that has a red asterisk indicates a required field. If any of the asterisk fields are not filled in, the system will alert you to what you need to do in order to move forward. The asterisk areas that need to be filled out are the request name. And this is the name for your business request. For this example, I'm going to say that this request name is Juniper VoIP Upgrades Master. Okay. The request description. This is a description of the request. So for this example, I'm going to say Master Contractors for Juniper Upgrades. So the next type is not an actual asterisk item, but it has types listed here. And if you select the drop-down, you can see that there are corporate goods, new product introduction, purchases, and services. So for this, we're going to leave that blank for now, but if you wanted to fill in the type, you could. The next item is the procurement officer / buyer. So you're going to want to enter the name of the procurement officer you intend to use in this process. So for this example, I'm going to go ahead and use myself. So I'm going to locate my name, which is Amanda Hendricks. And there we go from the drop down. And you know you've selected it correctly if you see this little X next to it. Okay, so the next item here is the description box. This isn't an asterisk field either, but if you wanted to expand on your description or add additional details to your request, you could do so here. So for this example, I'm going to include a description which says to establish master contractors to provide Juniper, if I could spell it right, VoIP upgrades. Okay. The next asterisk item back here is under categories for main category. So here you want to enter the name of your main commodity category that matches your United Nations Standard Products and Services Code, which is the UNSPSC code. You're going to be able to select it from the drop-down menu that opens. This should be the commodity category that best matches your business or organization. So if you need help finding your code, you can visit the UNSPSC website to search directly for an appropriate code. You can only add one code in the main category field. So in this situation, I'm going to be using this code so you can start typing and it'll automatically populate with what is close to it. In this case, you can see I want the 31000000 code for manufacturing components and supplies. The commodities, so then underneath of it is for other categories. The commodities selected here must match the codes in the UNSPSC as closely as possible, and you should select any and every code that applies to your project. So you can start typing them the way I did in the previous one, or if you aren't 100% sure what else you want to add, you could also click the See All button. And what this does is it pulls up a comprehensive list of all of the UNSPSC codes that are loaded into the EMMA system. There are other codes, and if you find that you need one that's not in here, you can send an email to the EMMA Help Desk, which is emma.helpdesk@maryland.gov, and request that the code be added. So it's important to come in here, and I know that the next code I want is in that 3100 series as well. So I'm going to click on the plus button next to it, which will expand the listing. And you can see that they can get pretty deep down. If I want the hardware one right here. So I'm going to select that and then I press the X and it automatically populates it here. And you can add as many commodity codes as you want to reach the biggest pool of vendors possible. It is crucial to make sure you add all of these codes because it ensures that your project receives attention from a broad range of appropriate and qualified vendors. Okay, the next asterisk item is the main agency / sub-agency / site. Here you want to enter the agency that is responsible for this business request. You can also search for the agency by clicking See All at the bottom of the drop-down menu, or you can click on here and select or start typing. So in this situation, I'm going to go ahead and add Department of General Services. The last field here is other organizations. This is not an asterisk field, but if it's necessary, you can add one or more other organizations that are related to this project. I'm not going to go ahead and do that for this current example, but that is an option for you. So once all the asterisk areas are filled out, you're ready for step 4 of the QRG, which is to go ahead and hit the Save and Close button. A prompt appears that asks you to confirm that before submitting a business request for a new solicitation, that there are no applicable statewide or agency agreements in place already to buy against. If you haven't done this previously, hit cancel and go ahead and go onto the websites to double check to make sure that you are not starting a request for something that you can already purchase off of what's already out there. We've already done that research, so we are going to go ahead and hit OK. Okay, so now you have a drafted business request, and it can be located in your Browse Business Requests area. So just so you know where that is, if I hit Sourcing and Browse Business Requests, this is the screen that comes up. So in the live environment, you may see a lot more here, but right now we only have a few that have been put through in our testing environment so far. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and move on to the next step. We want to find the business request that we were just working on, which was the Juniper VoIP Upgrades Masters. And in order to select it, you want to click on the pencil icon that's to the left. And it's going to open it back up. So moving on to step 5 of the QRG, you want to be sure you are on the Identify tab, which is on the left-hand side of the screen. Whereas the original amount field was grayed out before when you're working on entering the information initially, it's now available to be filled in. So this is where you want to enter the amount of funds required for this project. I'm going to enter in $5 million with no dollar sign and then click Save. You will notice that it actually pre-populated the commas in for me, so I didn't have to do that. Okay, so in step 6, we are going to add the fund certification document. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and click on the Documents tab, which is right below Identity. Here, you're going to click on the Create a Document button. A pop-up window opens, and you need to select which kind of document you're going to be uploading. For a business request, it is important that you, as the business owner, can provide the evidence of availability of funds. So per step 7 of the QRG, we're going to hit Select Funding Document right here. And this will open the Upload Document screen. Step 8 of the QRG has you populating information into the fields, ensuring that at a minimum, all the asterisk items are filled in. The areas that need to be filled out are the title, and you're going to enter a title for the funding document in this field. In this example, I'm going to title my document Initial Funds Certification. The next one is the status. So it always defaults to drafted, but it's important to change the status of the document from drafted to approved. Otherwise, no one else will be able to access or see this document. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. The summary. This is not an asterisk item, but if you want to provide a summary or any other kind of information about this document to all who will see it, like maybe when it was signed or who needs to look at it, or if it has any conditional statements in it, or etc., then you could type that here. I'm not going to add anything for this example here, though. And the final item is the document itself. This is where you add your document into the business request. You have the option of adding files from your device by clicking on this button here, or you can drag and drop items over the button to add them. So for this example, I'm going to click on it, and then my fund certification document is right on my desktop. So I'm going to hit open, and you'll notice that now you can see it beneath, and that's it right there. If you accidentally uploaded the wrong document, you can just click on this X right here, which will delete it, and then you can go ahead and do it again with the right document. Okay, so to complete step 9 of the QRG, you're going to click the Save and Close button of this funding document pop-up window. And you will notice that now under your Documents tab, you have an initial fund certification and the date that it was created. And underneath of the type, it says it was approved, which means that it is now available for anyone on your team to see. So step 10 of the QRG wants you to click on the Workflow tab on the left-hand side of your screen. This shows you the approval path and workflow for this request. Any green boxes in the workflow are completed, and orange means that's the current step, and the white ones are the ones that have yet to be completed. So, as you can see, we are currently in the initial fund certification. The initialization step is completed. So we are in initial fund certification. To complete step 11, we want to select the green Initial Funds Yes button at the top. We're going to hit OK. And then we're going to also select OK in this pop-up, which says to please upload a scanned copy of your Statement of Initial Fund Certification Availability in the Documents tab and include fund certification amount in the Identity tab, which we have done both of those items. You will now notice that the workflow has been updated, and the step we are now on says Upload Statement of Initial Funds Certification Availability. Since we already uploaded this fun document, for step 12 of the QRG, we just need to select the green Document Attached button. Okay. Step 13 of the QRG says to then select the Save button. You'll now notice that the workflow has progressed to the next box, which says Fiscal Officer Review and Approval. This means it's officially out of your hands and is waiting for the review and approval at the next step. The fiscal officer will receive an email and notification in EMMA that they need to approve your business request. Okay, so the fiscal officer has approved of our business request and they let me know that it has been completed. So we are now ready to do the final step of handing off to the procurement officer / supervisor. So I'm going to go ahead and go back into my project, which is the Juniper VoIP upgrades. And if we go to the workflow tab, you will notice that now it does say that we are on this last step of handing off to the procurement officer / supervisor. Okay, so step 14 of the QRG instructs you to click on the Identity tab on the left-hand side and to make sure that the correct procurement officer is populated in the procurement officer buyer field. So you can see down here, the procurement officer is Amanda Hendricks, which is myself, and I will be the procurement officer for this project moving forward. So I'm going to leave that there. That looks great. QRG step 15 instructs you to click on the Team tab on the left-hand side of your screen. By default, your name is listed here as the responsible program role assigned. It's important to note that the procurement officer must be assigned the responsible program role. If you are the procurement officer for this business request, you can skip step 16 of this QRG and move forward to step 17. I'm going to go ahead and show you what step 16 would look like if I was to add a different procurement officer to this project, just so you can see how that works. So if you are not going to be the procurement officer to solicit the sourcing project, you would need to change the name listed on this team page to match the name of the procurement officer that you put in the Identity tab. So for this example, let's pretend that on this Identity tab, the procurement officer I had listed there was my dear coworker, Pam Malik. So we're going to follow the QRG step 16A through 16F. So the first step is to select the selected users button and start typing in the procurement officer you're looking for. If you can't find them this way, you can also click the See All button and search that way, which we've done previously. Okay, so we've selected her name from the drop-down list, and you'll notice now that I'm still listed here as the responsible party, but it added Pam Malik as an SME, which means subject matter expert. To make her the responsible party, I would have to click on the X next to responsible party for my name and the X next to subject matter expert next to her name. And then I would select the drop down next to her name and make her responsible, and select the drop down next to my name and make me the subject matter expert. Okay, so if we were going to transfer responsibility of this project to Pam Malik instead of myself, at this point I would hit save and that would save this. And that's how that would work out. However, since I am the responsible party for this project, I'm going to go ahead and put myself back on there and remove Pam's name and go ahead and hit save, which is also QRG step 17. All right, so step 18 says to click on the workflow tab. And here you can see all these previous steps were in green, and we're here at this orange button right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the hand off to procurement officer button, which is QRG step 19. There's one more alert up here. It says prior to initiating a sourcing event, you need to first confirm if the business request can be met by current preferred providers networks. Okay, thank you for the helpful tip. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And now you notice there's no more green or red buttons that I can click up top. And all of the steps of our workflow have been completed. And if you look down lower, you'll see all of the activity that's happened, who's approved what, and when it happened. So step 20 of the QRG says to click the Save and Close button at the top of the page. Now in the QRG, there is a next steps section following step 20, and this instructs you on how to turn this completed business request into a sourcing project, and it must be from the procurement officer's role. So if you are not the procurement officer, your job with creating a business request is completed. Now, if you are the procurement officer, the next step here will be to convert this created business request into a sourcing project. Step 21 instructs you to navigate to your business request. Instructions on how to browse and filter business requests will be discussed in a moment. I just want to follow the steps as they are listed in the QRG. So once you locate your business request, which again was under sourcing, browse business requests. Here's our business request, Juniper VoIP Upgrades Masters. I'm going to click on the pencil next to it to open it up. Step 22 of the QRG tells you to click on the activity button on the left-hand side. When I click here, you will see that there is a button that says Create Sourcing Project. So if we click on that, which is QRG step 22, it opens up the Create Sourcing Project tab. Now this pop-up window is the same information that you would need if you were going to create a sourcing project from scratch. And those processes are in QRG3, which is posted on the Office of State Procurement's website for creating a sourcing project. So we're not going to go step by step through filling these out, but once you fill out all of the asterisk parts of this and hit save and close, that will turn this business request officially into a sourcing project. And you would be able to then locate it under sourcing, browse sourcing projects. It would be listed here as one of the ones under your name. Okay, and that would be how you would finish the business request. So the second part of this QRG just goes into briefly how you can browse and filter business requests. So I'm going to go back to sourcing and hit browse business requests. And again, right now I only have 3 listed. So it's obviously pretty simple here to figure out which one that I want to look at. But as things continue and as the business requests become more and more common, you will notice that this list will get bigger and bigger, and it will be harder and harder to find what you're looking for. So there are 7 different ways that you can search for business requests. The first one is using a keyword filter. So you could type in here, and if I typed Juniper and hit search, then it shows you right here the list of anything of the business requests that involve Juniper. And here we go, it's right here. And I would click on the pencil, and then I could open up my project. Another way to search is by contact. And here, this is a drop down. And this would be any of the contacts that created the business request. So if I start typing in my name, you can see that I come up there. And if I do that and hit search, all 3 of these, which were created under my name, will pop up here. You can also search by see all, as we've done in the past. And this is where it lists out all of the different users that are in Emma. Okay, another method to search is the status. You can search whether it's in the draft stage, approval in progress, approved, or if it's been terminated. You can search by type, which would be corporate, goods, new product introduction, purchase, or services. So if I type services and hit search, you'll notice that this one here, which was called Security Canine Group, comes up. And I can go ahead and open that if I want to look into that one. You can always click the X if you don't want to search by that. And select a different one if you want to try. Now, in this case, we don't have any that are for goods, and that's perfectly fine. Another option is to use the main agency sub-agency site. So if I click State of Maryland and hit search, I don't see any, but I know that I did use the Department of General Services for my last one. So if I select on that one and hit search, you'll notice this one and one of my previous ones both come up as that was the agency that I used for those. You can search by other organizations, which would be the other ones that are also included. So if you know you want it to have the Department of General Services and the Office of Procurement and Logistics, you could hit search that way. And if the business request used that as an other organization, that would be a way to search for that. And the final search option is with the commodity. So here you would go ahead and type in the commodity that you're searching for. Like I knew that we used commodity code 31000000. So if I type that in and hit search, it pulls up the business request that has that commodity type associated with it. Okay, so those are some basic ways to search through and use the different business requests. You can use multiple of these filters together. So if you know that you're looking for something that was done by Amanda Hendricks and included that particular commodity code, you could use both and say search. And you'll notice that all of your filters are listed down here. So if you're like, oh, that's great, but actually I don't need it to be by Amanda, I just want it to be about this commodity code, you can hit search again. You might have different ones pop up. Okay, well, thank you for hanging in there with me and learning how to create and complete the business request process in Emma. If you run into any problems, you can always rewatch this video, read through the QRGs, or reach out to emma.helpdesk@maryland.gov for assistance. Thank you, and I hope you have a great day.